Hey everybody, Jeff Kennedy, VP of Sales for Leading RE, here with my friends Carol Bulman from Jack Conway. Carol, good morning.
Good morning, Jeff. Great to be
And
here.
thank you for coming. And I also have Sean Soderstrom with Corday. Sean, what's up?
Hey Jeff, hey Carol, how we doing?
How are
Very
you?
good. We've all been in the business for a long time. We're in, I think what everyone can agree is kind of a strange time period for the industry. But the one mainstay that happens, whether it's this economy or something in the future, something in the past, recruiting is the lifeblood of most brokerages. And not recruiting anybody, not throwing things at the wall and seeing what sticks, but like measured, specific, smart recruiting to get the right agent into your office. And so, Carol, you're second generation, really well known, very respected brokerage out in Massachusetts. And talk to me a little bit about maybe your footprint, how many agents you have, and let's start with what you've done in the past on recruiting, what's worked, what hasn't worked.
Okay, great. Thanks, Jeff. I really love this topic, and I appreciate your asking me to be involved because we had a year last year that was really awesome when it comes to recruiting. So I will get there. But first, Jack Conway. Yes, I am second generation. My father, the late Jack Conway, started the company back in 1956. To give you just a quick thumbnail, we have 20 sales offices throughout mostly Eastern Massachusetts. We service parts of Rhode Island and parts of Southern New Hampshire. And we have just under 700 sales agents. We also offer a mortgage through a relationship with Guaranteed Rate. We have title company, insurance, and staging. So we're full service, and we've been a member of leading real estate companies of the world, going back to when it was Relo.
Yeah.
Many years.
A while back. So you have a big footprint, multiple states, a bunch of offices, and you have one person that does the recruiting, or does each individual manager do their own recruiting for their spot?
We come at recruiting in a lot of different ways. It sort of slices. We've tried different things in the past, and that was one of your questions, what have we done in the past? In the past, we left the recruiting pretty much up to the office manager. Now we have evolved into kind of a multi-touch approach. So what does that mean? So first of all, I oversee recruiting as part of my responsibilities. And the managers report up to me as far as recruiting goes. Al Becker is the president of our company. He also is involved in that process. So we're all involved in some way. The managers do much of the recruiting when it comes to working with new agents coming into the industry, just getting out of our license school or maybe another license school. They're the main point of contact. We also work with a company called Third Pool. Mark Johnson and Ben Hess's company, which provides us leads for new agents very early on in the funnel, sometimes even pre-license. So we have a method that we work with our managers to bring these people along. Our licensing here in Massachusetts is really lengthy and frankly very frustrating. So we stay very close to them, invite them to office meetings, etc. So that's one piece of it. As far as the experienced agent recruiting, that's the trickier part. So that's where Cordy comes in. We have done fairly well in the past. We have acquired companies over the years. We've had large groups join us. But in general, our strength in the past was on the newer agent. We have an excellent training program. People are attracted to that. So I was introduced to Sean's company by you, Jeff. Actually, I received an email announcing that we had a new partner, part of the solutions group. And I noticed it was recruiting. So anything that comes across my desk that has anything to do with recruiting, I get curious. And I looked at Sean's website. I answered a call to action, met with Sean, and we've had great success. I don't want to keep going on this specific talk track, but it's worked really well. The final result of last year was the best individual recruiting year we've ever had. So it was a combination of the new agents, Third Pool, Sean, and working with Corded. We also hired a recruiter who is also an agent with Jack Conway. That has made a huge difference. And I, along with our Vice President of Talent, Janet Pistone, we hold accountability or check-in groups with our managers every single week. You know, what have you done? How many calls have you made? How many appointments have you set up? What do you want to work through? Is there anything, a challenge that we can help you with? That check-in has been a huge part of it. And oftentimes courted is part of that conversation. So as far as success goes, we have just under 700 agents. We hired 130 agents last year, 129 to be exact. And more than half of those were experienced agents. The experienced agents, if you tally up all their last 12 months productions, it was 140 million in sales. So
Wow.
we're already seeing the effects of those folks joining us now.
I love that. And Sean, we've got about 5 minutes left or so. Without going into the deep details of your background, talk to me a little bit about why you built Corded and the typical brokerage that's the best fit for it, right? And then what they can expect, you know, who to talk to, what to say, and when to talk to them. Kind of talk me through that process that you built.
Yeah, I think first of all, thanks for having me. So I used to lead national expansion, growth, and recruiting for the fastest growing brokerage in the country between 2014 and 2017. And I think one of the things that struck me through that process was how the ways in which the industry generally thinks about who's the right fit for my company, what's the right time for them to hear from me, not what's the most convenient time for me to reach out to them, and how do I interact with them in the first place? So what is the right message that I talk about with those agents in the first place to get their attention and have your piece of outreach stand out from the crowd? Those topics have really not evolved much in this industry in the last few decades. And so when we set out to start this company, it was really to help to level the playing field between those companies that have huge amounts to invest in above market splits or a 50-person recruiting team. Traditionally, those are the ones that could share the results from a recruiting perspective. And I think from our perspective, what's been really fun is when we get to meet leading RE company leaders like Al and Carol, we can help to make what is otherwise a slow year one of the best years of the history of the firm. And we can start to do that very, very quickly. One of the things that I was really excited about was, I think, and Carol can say this, but one of the first people she identified on the platform was a person who was flagged as high potential to move. She didn't know them, and then ended up recruiting that agent who's a $30-some million producer. So Carol's investment in recruiting with Corded was a 6x plus ROI on one agent recruited, right? And obviously she talked about the other success that she's had since we really started working in earnest at the beginning of Q4. So we're really excited about the partnership in the sense of 2024 could be an absolute banner year from the perspective of recruiting. And I think, Carol, you would say your team probably spends as much or maybe less time actually recruiting, but you're much more precise about who you go after. And your conversations are much more likely to result in someone joining. And that's for us, that's where the magic happens, because we don't want to create a place where people are going in and wasting a whole bunch of time, but rather get you to the point where you can do what you're best at, which is face-to-face with an agent who's excited to join, who meets the culture fit, who could pay for themselves within the first couple of weeks. That's really what the mission is. And so to your question about who's the right fit, Carol obviously is leading a very, very large company, and we've had a ton of success kind of supporting your growth, but we also work with much smaller companies. And so, and even teams. And so we can kind of play across the spectrum, and everything we do is kind of customized to what the organization needs specifically.
I love that. I mean, there's no point in being efficient if you're not effective. So Corded helps you be effective and specific and efficient with your time. It's not a tool that you just buy and it works on its own in the background. You have to still put time in and effort and use the dashboard and be involved, but it's way less than it would be if you just did this from an Excel spreadsheet trying to remember to reach out to people. And so I love the way you guys set it up. It's who to talk to, like who is in your buy box, be very specific, when to reach out to them, when's right for them, when are they going to be most receptive to that outreach, and then also what the message should be. And the other products that I've seen out in the field are one of those three, but you still have the other two issues. And if they aren't all together, it just doesn't work as well. It's just, there's no way around that. That's great. So we're all of us are going to be at the Leading RE conference next week in Vegas. Yeah.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Sean's going to be on stage talking about retention and recruiting in front of our group. So that's going to be exciting too. Any last thoughts? I'd love to talk about this for like 45 minutes, but I know LinkedIn likes us to be at around 10. Any last thoughts for everybody?
You know, just really briefly, what Sean said is actually true. The very first person that was provided to me as a call, because what Corded does, and I'm going to say this really quickly, is Corded provides information in a very usable fashion, timely information, because they have an algorithm that has ways to be able to determine if a person is likely to move. And there's also a checklist feature that I love. So I love it. Stephanie and Sean are awesome about taking feedback and information. So this one person was my first cold call. I said, forget it. I'm just going to do it. Picked up the phone, because usually people I know when I'm recruiting, I know them in some way. And this gentleman said, sure, I'll meet. I said, really? Wow. Anyway, we met over a period of time. And as Sean said, he's a $30 million producer. He does a lot with listings and new construction. We need that today. And the most important part, he's a great guy.
Yep.
Because we don't want to hire just anyone. And so it's been really a home run for us. And I would highly recommend it to anybody. And if anybody wants any information, please reach out to me. I'm happy to help and provide feedback.
Full disclaimer, Carol is not on the board. She's not a paid person on this interview. This is an actual testimony from an actual client. Throw that out there.
Totally true.
Anything else, Sean?
I think as we look at 2024, I mean, the most recent signals are not necessarily that interest rates are coming down quite as quickly as we would have expected. It's really hard as a brokerage leader to think about controlling interest rates, home prices, velocity of transactions. Those are really important to the core business operations, right? And the financial model. But one of the things that you can control is how proactive you are about bringing on additional agents who produce, right? And so I think it's an exciting time for those that are willing to take the time and take the effort to invest in growing the company from an agent count perspective. So we're really excited about supporting Carol and team, and also getting to meet some more great leading RE companies at the conference next week.
Excellent. My final words are, listen, let's just be super honest right now. You're going to lose agents through attrition. They're going to age out. They're going to move on to other industries as things constrict. You can expect that to maybe pick up a little bit. You've got to fill the bucket. And one way or the other. Why not have this secret weapon tool to help you fill it with the right people is kind of the gist. Cool. So Sean, when I post this on LinkedIn, put a landing page or something in the comments so they can take and learn more if they want. Carol, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you so much, Jeff, for including me. I appreciate it. Sean, it's great to see you. And I look forward to seeing you all next week.
You bet.
Thanks. Look forward to seeing you both. Thank you,
Great.
Jeff. Thanks,
Thanks,
Carol.
guys.